Xintong
Anda to break.
against Zhang Anda, and it's Zhang to get us underway again. The 13th ranking event of the season. We know it'll be the 13th different winner, but who's it going to be? Zhang, as we know, is a very dogged character. We saw that yesterday when he came through that thriller in the semi-finals, and he did well to win that last frame as well of the first session, because Xintong had really hit his stride with the back-to-back centuries. So it's a bit of a clash of styles, but a fascinating match, Neil, and set up perfectly.
It really is a fascinating match, and as you point out rightly, that was a big frame for him to grab hold of, the 8th, because there was an onslaught he was faced with from Zhao Xintong. He'd made 2 total clearances, but for an exhibition shot on the black at the end of a 130, and then that 145 that Dave mentioned. It was absolutely brilliant. But he's all level, and you know that's the point, isn't it? Zhang Anda is level. We start again.
What a fluke.
Oh, he got nowhere near the pot, did he? And he's an incredible double kiss. I mean, this is... it's very early in the session, so it may or may not mean much, but goodness me, what a diabolical fluke. I think the problem is that the standard we see now is so high that when a player misses one, you think the opponent must be boosted by that, but he still went in.
Six. Seven.
Well, that's not the worst kiss either, so a little bit of fortune early in this finale from Zhang Anda.
Yeah, we know luck can play its part. You have to grab hold of it when it comes your way, because a lot will go wrong as well. A couple of hours now, good 3 hours really since the last session. So it's just getting back out there and trying to produce the goods in the most important session of the week.
9.
If Zhang does win the title, he'll be back in the top 16. Of course, he's already secured his place in the Players' Championship. And again, victory, be 8th on the 1-year list, so more than likely be in the Tour Championship as well.
10.
I mean, he's a kind of player, like so many, of course, that when he hits form, he really is incredibly difficult to beat because his
17.
putting and scoring is so accurately done. Very precise player. But he's almost got 2 ways of playing. I mean, he
18.
turns up at the Crucible and first played there in 2012 and was beaten. He's never won a match there, remarkably, even as a seeded player. And he just does not perform at that venue at all, it seems. I can't think of well, probably his debut was the best he ever played when he lost narrowly to Stephen Hendry. Never performed there since. I know that's not his problem right now, but he's good. He's so good that it's a little bit of a surprise.
25. 26.
That'll annoy him a little bit because he's not got perfect position. He was desperate to get top side of the blue. Now that he hasn't, he's got to play a good shot to get close down to a red.
Yeah, a little shake of the head, which is all you're really going to get from Zhang Anda, but it just tells you he's lost position. He must have been such a high the way he won yesterday. Come down from that, I'm sure he was pleased that it was the first match. He had the night off at least. So we got the fluke, but just 31 made from it.
Zhang Anda, 31.
That was half a chance, wasn't it? And you can't really call that any more than half a chance. It's a difficult long red. But the escape route was always there. And one thing that, you know, is obvious really, but I'm going to say it, is if you're playing this man, Zhao Xintong, you've got to keep him at arm's length, give him nothing, because he just devours those long pots. Just glides them in, but he can't pot them if you can't see them. This is a delightful safety shot, however. Didn't quite get in behind the yellow. It would have been the perfect shot had he done so.
It was a good return. There was a lot of scope for that to go wrong. Yeah, it's important, obviously, to keep Xintong out. You know, we saw that two-frame burst. That's the danger from Zhang's perspective, that suddenly Zhang puts together, you know, a 2 or 3 frame burst and breaks free in this final. Got to keep him firmly on the back foot. But there you go. He's not that in.
Well, the problem is, and we've seen it already in this event with absolutely brilliant match players like Mark Selby and Zhao Xintong, two of the very best in the game right now. They can keep him quiet for a period of time, but not all the time. You know, of course, he beat John Higgins in the last 32 as well. So these are the best in the business, but in the end, he seems to just break free of it all because he's so brilliant. I think if you can perform against, you know, the consummate match players in the game, then really you've got something special. And of course, that is why he's world champion. Now, for many a player coming through, that's their kind of meeting their match, isn't it? Playing these sort of brilliant players, all-round players. Anyway, he doesn't like the angle on the brown. It looks to him as if playing the brown is not going to get the cue ball anywhere near out of bulk. I think he's screwing into the green, perhaps, off the brown. So the slightly more difficult green he's playing to land behind a red. It's a lovely shot. Now,
4.
is he in the same kind of form as he was in the latter stages of the afternoon session?
Five.
We've had 34 centuries and Zhao Xintong has made 6 of them. In fact, 28 of the 34 have been made by the Chinese contingent. We had a record number in the last 16 in the quarterfinals. Of course, all 4 semi-finalists are from China. And of course, with his
11.
achievements and profile, it's only going to increase in the future. China Open returning to the calendar next season.
$13.
Now, as he found a way onto that right-hand red, I'm not sure he would have played it.
Punt.
If he's on that red to the right, yeah, he is. That's a big shot to land. May not have been a fluke in the same way as Zhang
21.
Anda had, but that was quite fortunate. Delicate little nudge here off the reds. Got a lot of class, hasn't he? Don't hit the ball too hard. That's a sign of
28.
someone at the top of their game. Awkward queuing, however.
$29.
He's got to recover here. He's on the black, but he's got to find a route back in behind a red.
$36. $37.
Well, Zhang got that outrageous
44.
fluke at the start of the frame, but broke down on 31. He seemed to have played a reasonable safety, but Zhao Xintong found the long red.
45.
Beautiful red, wasn't it? Now he's just got to finish the job off here. He won't need the blue. The frame will be long since won by then. And even the yellow is providing with high value colours. Not required.
52. $53.
Did win the Riyadh Season Championship, which is a big tournament. It's a tournament for all the top players, top 10 in the world, but not a ranking event. So this is his first ranking final since the Crucible. But there's a lot of big tournaments in the run into Sheffield,
60.
and just reminding us all why he won it last year there.
61.
So this black, and Zhang needs a snooker. He's very easy to like, isn't he? He always looks like he's enjoying himself.
68.
We know that a lot of players, and it's understandable because of the pressure, kind of have the opposite countenance. You know, it can be pint of blood stuff at times, but he always sort of looks like he's on a bit of a day
69.
out, enjoying doing what he does best, which is knocking balls in.
Well, this is a pretty good positional shot, isn't it? I'll go as far as to say it's better than pretty good. It's an
76.
immaculate shot. And now, of course, he can make a century, albeit, you know, from here it's going to be still very tough to do so. And now
78.
he could knock out the blue here, but it will leave not the easiest of browns. Decided against it.
81.
So he's decided to leave an angle on this brown to just flick the blue into play. No
85.
contact made, so it's going to take an amazingly good pot here.
Not to be, but a fine 85.
And a frame.
Zhao Xintong back in front in the World Grand Prix final in Hong Kong, 5-4. There's never been more than a frame between him and Zhang Anda. He's hoping that will change. In this frame, red has just come down, but cue ball close to ball cushion. Zhang was in first in that opening frame of the night, but then a lovely 85 from Zhao Xintong secured it.
Yes, as you said, the red came down, but it was certainly a tricky one, and he was forced into playing it. When the balls stopped rolling, it didn't appear that anything was available. Goes to show you, though, doesn't it? You get a bit of good fortune, as Zhang Anda did in that last frame. And yes, he made a few off of it, but he didn't make enough from that piece of luck. And as a consequence, he set out a lovely 80-plus break in the end. So you have to exploit anything fortuitous that goes your way at this game.
Yes, I mean, all the frames are important, of course, but this little mini session I think is interesting because there's just the potential, maybe, for Xintong to start to pull away in these 4 frames. But still a long way to go. There's still possible 10 frames to play, including this one. Trying to continue his 100% record in finals. UK Championship 2021, German Masters 2022, and of course the World Championship last year. Zhang's 4th final. He won the 2nd of them, the International Championship. That was just after he lost the 1st, the English Open, to Judd Trump. And then later that season, so 2 years ago now, Mark Allen beat him in a very close Players' Championship final, 10-8. But this is his first since then.
And a pretty good cue ball. Zhao Xintong acknowledged that. I mean, he pots brilliantly, but I think that for someone who does pot so well, there must be the temptation to take on everything. We've seen players doing that before. I'm the best long potter in the world, I can pot any ball. But Xintong knows that that's not really the case. Might have to try and attempt this one, though, getting the cue ball down the other end. Well, maybe he can pot anything after all. In fairness, he played it in quite a measured way. The point I was making, though, is that you see players who become reckless with their long game because they're so confident of it. He seems to play the right shots. Knows his boundaries, of which there aren't many. think he's okay for the pink. It's certainly not an easy table. Pink spot is covered, so it goes on to the black, but then
13.
it's pretty tough around the black spot as well, even for someone like Xintong.
14.
Goes into the left corner, which helps. And if you can get on the red to the left of the pink, that'll be even a bigger help. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Punch. $21.
Now, the opportunity here to go into the reds is there if he wants it, but he could play on the loose one. Just very measured at this stage.
27. 28.
Might have to be the red up the table here if nothing else is on.
34.
Passes the green into the top right pocket, and that's all he's got here. Well, there's still a red at the bottom of those half a dozen which goes, and in turn that would open up one to the opposite corner pocket. So he doesn't really have to think about going into them at this stage. He can take them one by one. Just needs to get the right positional shot on his next colour. And that is the one.
41.
Well, saying that, he might feel he's about an inch too high. He wanted to be at least straight. He'll have to play a good shot here to get in behind that same red. Beautifully done. Better shot than it looked.
47. 48.
So these open reds will be enough. And again, it started with a great red. Just looks completely relaxed here this evening, focused as well. You know, there have been times this season
54.
where just taking his eye off the odd shot here and there, and it's cost him, but so far in this final, because he knows Zhang well, they practice together, so he's well aware of his abilities. He knows he can't take him for granted. Lost his previous 2 meetings to him, in
55.
fact, including one at the UK Championship this season. But he's not far away from opening up for the first time here in the final. 2-frame lead.
60. 61.
He doesn't feel like Zhang's done a lot wrong. You know, okay, he lost position, broke down on 31 in the previous frame, played what looked like a good safety. Zhang knocked in a long red, and then in this frame, another great red flew in.
$67.
Well, he's mesmerising, isn't he, at times? These two frames have been quite something, the way that he's taken them. I mean, he made two fantastic breaks, 130 and 145, but I honestly don't believe they're better breaks than these two.
74.
You can watch them back. The way that he's taken these two frames from positions of
75.
well, hardly anything. The first frame, and then he put a brilliant red here, and he's won the frame off it, and this is absolutely sensational stuff for me. Well, he's won the frame. It's a great start to the evening session.
Zhao Xintong.
Zhang has spent rather a long time in his seat, hasn't he, this evening? He's concerned. Any sort of long red that's left, he's just concerned that it's going to fly in. Yeah, and that's why.
Yeah, just every right to be concerned, isn't he? You know, it's it also, the speed he plays them at, you'd think, well, he pots these balls, you can imagine balls flying around at 100 miles an hour, but that's not really how he operates. This is a tricky little one because, you know, the red up the table is causing him a problem here. It's very fiddly to put the rest in an unnatural position. Yes, that was the reason he missed. It was a really awkward rest shot. Pity he finished there from such a good red. This time, perhaps not so lucky. Is he on the black? He might be able to swerve it. And he might have to. Here's a look at the shot he played. You never quite know that the reds are not going to cover the line onto the black. So a little bit of left-hand side. Yeah, negotiated pretty well.
Eight.
Well, you get the feeling that chances are not coming very often for Zhang Anda, so he's got to make something of this.
Nine.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when you've made mistakes and you think, okay, I've got to tighten up, I've got to not make them again. But he hasn't done a lot wrong tonight. I know he was in the first frame, lost position, but just seen long balls been just knocked in time and time again since. And you'd be wary, of course, of leaving any sort of chance for Xintong at the moment.
Don't believe he played it that poorly, actually. I think it was just
14.
he's a bit thin on the blue to go into them as he'd like to. But the big question, is he on that right-hand red? If he isn't, then there's nothing else for him. So the answer is end of break. So he hasn't made much from what was a good chance. They're so few and far between. You've got to take them at this level against this wonderful player.
14.
Rankings, of course, based on prize money. So it was touch and go as to whether Zhao Xintong will get in the Players' Championship. He's in now, and if he were to win today, he'd actually be 6th on the one-year list, which means he'd be in the Tour Championship. So just the way the prize money goes up in huge chunks, you know, at the business end of the tournament.
Yes, I mean, as a first-time world champion, you know, you couldn't be certain of anything, what is going to happen in the following season, but people have said he's not had a very good time of things, but he is on 11 on the one-year list. It's not bad, is it, for a champion with all the different pressures? And he could end up a lot higher if he wins this evening. Anyway, he's left this on.
Yeah, and these are the sort of chances that Zhang knows he's got to take, because he hasn't been offered much so far this evening. He's got to try and stay in touch in this mini session.
Of course, the event that Zhao Xintong won, 250,000 for the Saudi Golden Ball event, was not a ranking tournament. Put too much topspin on that, and of course it traps the cue ball and stops it from travelling up the table.
Wrong ball. Zhang Anda, 1.
Well, I think it's safe to assume even with Xintong, he won't be potting one here. Played so well throughout this tournament. And I think the key thing, as you said earlier, you know, those close matches he won against the sort of hardened match players, that says that he's not just a sort of, you know, potter and flamboyant player. He can dig in as well. Well, he nearly did pot one. What a result.
Yeah, he was lucky there. He tried to just sort of go in between the two reds, didn't he? And clip one. Well, he did all of those things, but the red over the pocket was fortunate not to leave, has to be said. Now he's put him in a world of trouble here, isn't he? Zhang Anda, what is he going to do? He can get to reds, but he's got that. The problem red over the pocket. If roles were reversed, I think I know what Zhao Xintong would do. He'd probably crunch a red into the left corner and think nothing of it. But the game's not so easy for everybody. I think he must be looking to see which other reds he can pot, but I think from what I can see here, he either plays to get in behind the red over the pocket, or he tries to pot that top left-hand red. Sometimes all you can do is pot your way out of a problem. If he plays in behind the red over the pocket, this is going to have to be extremely accurately played. Well,
But
he's slightly
Zhao
unlucky to
Xintong,
going off,
full.
but it was not that unsurprising it happened. Of course, he's left that red as well from hand.
Yeah, so Zhang had the fluke in frame one of the night, but Zhao was lucky to snooker him behind the brown and now looking to take advantage again.
1.
Yeah, I mean, he's never going to miss this, was he? The way he pots, like hanging over the pocket for him. I don't know if he can get on the red next to the black. That would help. And he's tried to. And the way he's purposefully walking around, I reckon he's on it.
7. Eight. $15. 16.
He does win the title. His prize money for the season will go over just over £700,000. So I don't think Zhao Xintong will consider it a bad campaign, with plenty more big tournaments to come, of course.
No, I think he's done well. You know, I don't know what people expected, really. You know, coming to win the World Championships with amateur status from round one of qualifying. And that was mind-boggling, actually. I'm still not sure I can quite believe how he did it. But first-time world champions, you know, it come under a lot of scrutiny. I think, generally speaking, he's done well. And it seems like he's getting better. He has, however, just overdone that last shot. Well, that was not close. And he has left a chance. Now, this is a big moment
Zhao Xintong,
for
24.
Zhang Anda. Very big. He has to take this.
Well, it's a very good chance, but he's slightly under it with just the start Zhao Xintong has made. Although, as I say, because they practice together, it won't be any surprise to Zhang Anda how well Xintong's played so far. He's a pretty calm individual. We saw that yesterday. Okay, he did miss the last red in the decider with the rest, but he did well to win it. You know, even the last black under that pressure was missable. Had to take the cue ball around the houses off the pink. And there was just a very slight clench of the fist. There was no sort of theatrics. He's not that sort of character, but he was clearly satisfied with the victory.
$16. 17. 18.
So the couple of reds
24.
just below the pink spot. He'd just like to bring them into play a little bit more. And that's what he's done exactly there. And with the pink over the
25.
right corner, that was the perfect moment to disturb the two reds. Now it really is a frame-winning chance. Now what has he done here? What has he done here? Goodness me, what a place to finish.
31.
That's quite a big mistake. He could get to the top red perhaps, but it's not what he's looking for.
Yeah, well
32.
recovered. It's just a must-win frame, isn't it? The way Xintong's playing. Got to, you know, when you're being starved of chances, you've got to put opportunities like this away. But he's back in business now, and with a 20-point lead, surely it's going to be 6-5.
34.
And as much as I think Zhao Xintong is very popular here, equally the crowd, as with any big final, you want to see a real close battle, exciting match.
35.
Turning, I think, into one of the best finals we've seen this season. It's close, it's high quality, they're both contributing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the standard of play is just off the charts, really, I think. And, you know, Zhang Anda is having to soak up quite a bit of pressure. He had to do it in the last frame of the afternoon
41.
session, having sat out two big centuries, and now just clinging on again here, isn't he? But he's taken them well, he's recovered it well. A little bit of tension crept in the middle of this break, but he overcame all that. There was a moment during this frame where it looked like Zhao Xintong was going to build up a 3-frame lead, and that might have just been beyond Zhang Anda. But of course, there's another frame to go before the mid-session, and he might be able to win that one as well. Who knows?
It was that one positional shot, wasn't he? He left himself the pink with the rest, and he missed the pink. So just that one small error has made a difference. Zhang not on the brown, but well and truly over the line here. 39 in front, 22 on. Important visit just to steady the ship in this final, because there was a danger that Zhao Xintong, level of the World Grand Prix final. It's a terrific match this, and Zhang Anda has pulled one back, trails 6-5 to Zhao Xintong, the world champion. Once again eyeballing that red, hoping for cover.
Yes, and the red went up last time, but if you could actually keep that break in the locker forever, it'd be a good one. Now that he's tucked on the cushion, the red is on, but the brown's in the way of it. It's actually really troublesome. They might be able to drop onto reds. Just dead bat situation here. I mean, look, as commentators, we talk about big frames, don't we? This feels like one. You know, in the context, you've still got to get to 10 or whoever wins this one. But if you could keep 2 frames as a buffer, the world champion, then I think he'd be okay. He'd feel good about things. If he gets pegged back again, then you might wonder what he's got to do to shake Zhang Anda off.
Zhang actually is due in Leicester on Tuesday for the winners group of the Championship League, so we'll see whether he makes it or not, but that will not be in his thoughts right now.
1.
Well, a lot's been spoken about Zhao Xintong's long game, but that was as good as anything that Xintong can do. Just calmly rolled it in. A lot depends on the cue ball here, nudging into reds. This is the problem, you just can't know for sure. He felt he couldn't use backspin, he had to just drop it in and hope that reds would all
8.
form an orderly line to the pocket. Now this is a tough recovery shot.
Zhang Anda, 8.
Well, it doesn't look to have done a lot of damage. You're always hesitant to say that with Xintong. I don't think he could play that without hitting that jaw of the pocket, which is why he's not in prime position here. It's a good red though. Certainly a more straightforward shot would be to punch the brown in and be on that red in bulk. If he rolls the blue, again, it's in the lap of the gods where anything finishes. I mean, I think the quality of and purity of ball striking for these two has been absolutely outstanding.
5.
Both players do not hit balls hard, they stroke
6.
everything in, making, as we know, a very difficult game look very easy.
Eleven. Twelve.
He's willing the cue ball to slow down. He played on that red to middle that he's a
19.
level with. There weren't many mistakes being made, but that was just a semblance of one. He was thinking a lot about the cue ball there, a lot about the cannon on the red to hold for the black, and of course the pot needed a lot of consideration as well. Something had to give. How big a moment in the context of the whole match will that be?
Well, it's a big chance this, but of course as we get nearer the real business end of the final, there's bound to be a few nerves there. Think about the World Championship is certainly at the Crucible. He kind of led from the front in every match, didn't he? Including the final. Went into the final night 17-8 up. Mark Williams did superbly to win those 4 frames, but never really looked like there was going to be a sustained comeback. It would have been asking a hell of a lot.
17.
But this is a much closer match. In terms of the season he's had, I mean, you know, people said, would he dominate? But what does that mean these days? If there's 25 tournaments, how many would you have to win to be dominating? 10? 15? Not going to happen, is it? Standard is so high. That's why the tournaments are being shared around.
Oh, exactly, and of course we've seen that no one is able to dominate at the moment, so to win some big events would mean a lot to anybody. You're seeing a level of excellence, though, from him, which is you know, something you just can't forget about. You know, it's there. He's playing this red to middle when he's got the easy red over the other middle. He's going to have to get this.
33.
Oh, what a delightful shot that is, and a brave shot. I mean, he didn't have to play it. Well, it's hard to imagine that that cannon could go wrong, and it mercifully hasn't.
14.
The other thing about being world champion, particularly first time, is to be visible. And he's certainly been that. You know, he came and played in the shootout. A lot of the big names sat that one out. He's been doing a lot of media work and endorsement work in China. So he's been, I think, a good world champion in that sense. And, of course, that does
48.
eat into the time you can practice. So, you know, sometimes some of the tournaments when you've gone out early may be a factor, the travelling as well.
49.
Anyway, what a chance to go 7-5 here. Zhang was in, lost his way. Xintong in the mood this week to punish.
Yeah, I thought about
56.
that. I wondered if he'd play in everything, but I also figured that he'd been in exile for so long, he just wants to be playing snooker again. And the shootout, I wasn't entirely sure about whether he'd go to, but clearly he wants to be out there performing again after being on the sidelines for so long.
Yeah, he came before he played in Blackpool. He came and sat in the audience while his sort of Sweet Caroline was going on and all that hoopla around him. He seemed a little nonplussed, but anyway, this is the more familiar environment and just a few balls away now from securing the frame. He's going to need one more red after this blue, and he'll have the advantage at the last interval. Zhang has had chances tonight. He hasn't played badly, but just the odd moment, the odd mistake And the odd moment, of course, of brilliance from his opponent has made the
Something
difference. It's a really good match, though, and still the potential after the interval for another 7 frames.
Yeah, I mean, Zhang Anda in this frame, that chance where he slightly dropped out of position, the
78.
red 2 left middle, where he was thinking about position as well. I think that could be the difference between the two players on the evening, because now the two frame
79.
leader's been there and put in front of him again. You know, he's been sort of hanging on a little bit, Zhang Anda. I mean, against this class of opposition, he's done extremely well. But it might not be enough.
84.
Yeah, I agree. He's played to a very high level, Zhang Anda, but of course the problem is the level your opponent plays to. Zhao
86.
Xintong's already made 2 centuries in the final, looking like a third, and that would make him the third man this season to have made at least 50 after Mark Selby and Neil Robertson.
89. '93. 98.
So the few mistakes Zhang has made, he's going to have to cut out after the interval, but he's going to need Zhao Xintong's level to dip, and there's no sign of that.
94.
He's playing superbly. His 3rd century of this World Grand Prix final. Lovely clearance of 111 gives, and the lovely World Grand Prix trophy as well.
Cube was racing a bit here, down towards the reds again. As he left that end one on. A surprising mistake. I think he wanted to play thin off the bunch, so he didn't push anything out, but in doing so, he overcooked it. Red by the black, though, is a worry already. Whether he could pot this and develop that red, it would be some shot if he could. Played it beautifully. What a shot.
Wow. Eight. Nine.
One of the opening session, Zhang Anda made breaks of 91 and 2 of 84. Obviously all frame-winning contributions.
$60. 17.
Well, that has opened up everything.
24.
He's going to put his cue in the gap between those two reds here. I mean, the opening red with the rest where he
25.
cannoned the other red out was... I mean, it's a terrific shot. I mean, it's not as if he went into it knowing he was going to have that shot. It just came up as a consequence of a bad safety shot. Slightly bad, anyway, slightly not as planned.
$32.
Small disturbance there.
$33.
Well, it's the fifth black coming up. When he won the International Championship in 2023, he actually made a maximum in the final.
$40.
Yes, I mean, I
41.
suppose he could make one here. For now, he has to get this frame secured. Clearly, where the balls are, any mistakes could see him go further behind. But the bottom line, it really is a good chance, actually, for staying on reds and blacks for the foreseeable.
48.
We've had 22 this season, and he made the most recent, Zhang, at the German Masters just last week in Berlin. From his very first chance in the very
49.
first frame against Barry Hawkins.
$56.
Well, here's the thing. Let's look at what he chooses to do here, because it's absolutely simple to pot this and play on the pink. But is he going to continue on the black? There is your answer. There is your answer, because he really didn't have to do that.
$64.
Zhao Xintong made a 144 against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Today, Zhao Xintong made a 145. So he, top of the high breaks chart for the £10,000 prize. But could it go here in dramatic fashion? Zhang Anda's made 5 maximums in his career, 2 this season. The first was in the Shanghai Masters.
$65.
Yes, I don't know if he's got the perfect angle here.
72.
So the frame isn't won yet, so can he afford to drop this in and hold for the black? It's probably what he will do. But if he misses, he could still come unstuck here. It's okay. Could be better, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is it looks like frame says 2 snookers needed without this black.
He might be able to play this save with left-hand side, and of course the pot is more difficult, but he's heading back into the vicinity of the res in the middle of the table. It looks like he's going to the bottom of the cue ball. It's tough.
That's a shame, but as I say, it looks like the frame is his. 73, the break ends at 67 on the table, so 2 snookers.
Well, reds and blacks and anything that takes him to within 1 red left on the table will keep the frame alive, I think. These things are possible. But this would take a bit of believing, wouldn't it? A maximum attempt getting so far and then the frame still going.
9.
We had a close-up lesson, didn't he, about how to lay snookers from Chris Wakelin. In that decider, he got very close to stealing a frame that was all day long over.
$16.
I mean, you can kind of see where the first snooker is going to come from. Whichever red he takes next would probably be the left-hand one. Although that is not hit hard enough.
$24.
You might have to take a colour other than the black here. Didn't stop him trying, because it wouldn't change a lot of things if he could get on the pink perhaps.
$25.
I mean, the pink back on its spot, really, it doesn't change a lot. The snooker is on the last red, it seems. That's not a very good shot. Don't know when the pink goes, whether you can see all of the red.
31.
And he clearly won't be potting the red here, because he's got to get the snooker and hopefully the free ball. It's a good shot. Can he get to the left cushion? And the question, if he was tight in behind the black, this would be a world of trouble. But I have a feeling he can just sneak across that side of the table. Well, I think it's one of those situations he thought about that. I think, well, look, if I can't hit the red, hit the yellow. It's not the worst outcome. It means no free ball anyway. And of course, no miss will be called because the snooker's required. He's only down to 1 now.
Yeah, and of course, the other thing is nothing's safe. So if Zhao Xintong were to get the second snooker, everything's possible. For all the big breaks and sort of flash pots we've seen in this final, this could be yet the most significant moment.
He's not got the snooker, but as he left a very thin cut, and is it so thin that Zhang would not feel very comfortable about knocking it in? I mean, if the red goes in and he goes in off in the bottom left, it's not a big problem because the red's off the table. But he wasn't prepared to take any risks of that kind. I think it might have cut in. Very lucky, but it should be hittable. It's on one cushion. You'd think fairly regulation escape. Tell you another thing here, that the yellow's gone into a promising place for getting snookers right there. You know, you can easily see the cue ball trapped in behind that. It's only a bit of life still in this frame. But that was not as good as it might have been. He'd be disappointed there. That was a possibility.
Well, it appears Xintong is in a snooker himself.
I'm not sure it's easy to hit without playing a swerve because of the yellow, of course, covering the right side. Oh my goodness. How about that? It's just given a few awkward moments, this, for Zhang Anda, isn't it? Because I know the green's been pushed to the cushion, but don't know it. I mean, he probably hit this as well, but he's one of these, I suppose you could slip past the red, playing around two cushions. I don't think he'll miss it, but I've seen them missed.
It's all anxiety. He doesn't need him. I mean, he's made a 73 break. You know, the frame, he was sort of coasting towards the line. Now suddenly it's all got a little bit sticky.
Of course, the other thing to say, he could pot red-black. Zhao Xintong if he wanted to. Obviously, if he can avoid it like there, he will. But you know, he can now pop the red and the black. It would mean one snooker on the colours. A few awkward moments here, though. It's been a superb frame, actually. You know, not with only the break building of Zhang Anda, but the fight back, if you like, from the world champion. But he doesn't look like missing them, does he? Let's be honest. I know he missed one earlier, but I think he was quite happy to hit the yellow. Not leave a free ball on that occasion. I think Xintong would have loved the red to bounce out into open play. But being pretty picky because it was a very good shot. The brown is quite close to being in the way of the single cushion escape, the bolt cushion back down for the red. To go twice up and down. Amazing shot, isn't it? Amazing shot. It's the only way he could go, I think.
Warmly appreciated by this large crowd at the Kai Tak Arena. What a battle this is. Zhao Xintong, rightly known as a wonderful ball striker, great potter, break builder, but showing a bit of metal here, putting Zhang under it. Wonderful pot, and that secures the frame and just holds off that moment of uncertainty put on him by Zhao Xintong. He made the 73, of course, was in the throes of a maximum. The main thing is he's pulled one back, and this final could yet be heading for a very exciting conclusion. It's been real high quality. Zhang Anda sticking in there very nicely. What about that shot? So, Zhao Xintong, a spirited attempt. Zhao Xintong still ahead, but not being able to really break free of Zhang Anda. He's been a couple of frames ahead a couple of times, but Zhang proving to be very stubborn. You know, he's won a big tournament, that international championship, a huge event that he won a couple of seasons back. And, of course, his last final, the Players' Championship against Mark Allen. It's a long match, that, but he really stuck with Allen. Just lost out 10-8, but it was a closely fought encounter.
Another beautiful, clean shot that he knocked in. balls are lined up ever so well. But he's not pleased with that shot because he's not the tallest player on the tour, and he will be stretching on this next red to right corner. Yes, this is not the red he was looking to play.
Zhang Anda, 5.
Yeah, I think the reason he played that red actually was he felt that perhaps he wouldn't leave anything. Sending the cue ball across to the right, but he looked very disappointed. Does anything go that we don't know about? We got just a fleeting glimpse of the table there, and that red through the gap is that bottom. Wow. There's the smallest gap you'll see. That is incredible. That's why Zhang Anda looked so disappointed, because a small gap appeared through all the reds.
Yes, and on such fine margins, you know, frames are won and lost. Crowd living every moment. A few of them wondered if that black would drop.
8. Nine. $16. $17.
Well, he's got to sort the pink out. I wonder if Zhao Xintong has heard about the Crucible Curse yet. If he hasn't, he will do. Very soon, no first-time champion defending the title, etc., etc. He'll have that to think about in a couple of months' time. But after the way he played last year, maybe the curse will be dispelled once and for all. Of course, we don't know who he could play in round one. You know, he could play someone like Zhang Anda, couldn't he, in round one? That first day, as Karen Wilson found out last year, can be the one that is the sticky one, really.
Yes, my feelings about that are that he could break it. I'll never really believe that it's going to be easy for anyone to get over that hurdle. It all depends, as you rightly say. You could be dumped out on the first day, and many a champion and a first-time champion has happened to, including as recent as last year. If he can overcome day one, then
34.
who knows?
33.
He's a wonderful player. That's the key, isn't it? Suited to long matches, I think. I don't suppose anyone thought an amateur would be world champion, so the curse is nothing compared to that. It's a great split, but what is he on?
31.
Gave it everything, didn't he? Gave it everything, rolled it. Maximised his chances of the red dropping.
$37. $38.
So already 40
$45.
to the good. Plenty of reds to go at here for an 8-6 lead.
46. $53. $54. $61.
That was a little too close for comfort, wasn't it, to the top jaw like that? But it still went in. I suppose if nearest you're going to get to a mistake is a ball that only just goes in rather than stays out, then it's not going so badly. Because he hasn't really looked like missing during the course of this break.
$67.
Well, just needs one more red, this one. So he's just holding Zhang Anda off, isn't he? Zhang, he's staying in touch, but can't quite get back on level terms, which of course is where they were when they resumed at 4-4.
Yeah, and if you remember, Dave, how it all started this frame, he missed that red, didn't he? And thought he'd hidden the cue ball on the right. There was a wall of reds, but there was the smallest gap through to one red. Incredible. And Zhang is probably still thinking of that now.
Absolutely. You know, it's just a few millimetres here and there, isn't it, that's made the difference. We said at the time it can make the difference between winning and losing a frame, and it's cost Zhang.
83.
And now Zhao Xintong with a chance to make his 4th century of the final.
84.
If he can deal with these awkward reds. Nothing really seems that awkward to him, does it? Just playing delightful
91.
snooker.
92.
I suppose the fact that he's a left-hander is one thing that might stop him. That's all I can imagine, because a right-handed player would find
99.
it easy to run this down the cushion, or easier.
Just fell in, and there's the century. Crowd loving this.
Well, it's been sensational. I mean, it really has. I think Zhang Anda has played beautifully as well, and you know, he's at the point of
107.
going 2 down again. So we're seeing a level of snooker in this final which is up there with anything you'll ever see, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. I think Zhang has played to a level in some finals this season. He would have won them, but you know, it's about obviously how your opponent plays, and Zhao Xintong has brought his A game to the title match for sure.
116.
Dazzling exhibition of snooker from the world champion.
121. 127.
Another great break in a final full of them. Trying a trick shot on the black, and what about that? Wonderful.
Well, even the break-off shot is causing Zhang Anda some concern. Has he left a red out on either side? Or is the green just covering the pair of them? Well, I think there's your answer, just about.
It's entries that Xintong has made: 130, 145, 111, 134. He's also had 75, 85, and another 75.
Terrific shot. It's a brave shot, actually, because he knew he was crashing into the bunch, and the red that he was playing was not a certainty, but he could hardly have controlled it any better. The black, as you can see, is well and truly tied up at this stage.
5.
So it's a question of how this break develops.
Six.
None of this looked likely when he trailed Mark Selby 4-1. And at 4-3, Selby was in early and missed a black off the spot unexpectedly. Just opened the door. Gosh, Xintong 154.
12. Thirteen.
Yes, and you could argue that Zhang Anda in his last match against Zhou Yulong didn't play a double in the deciding frame on the last blue, which would have been match ball had that gone in, because been different finalist. These moments are always there, aren't they?
$18.
Finished a bit in between though, hasn't he? As you can see, the positioning of the cue ball is right in between all of the reds he wants to play. So it's a thin one cut back here. Which he negotiates
19.
absolutely delightfully.
$24.
At the moment, he's just taking what is there,
$25.
knowing that the black still isn't close to being in play. Just building a lead of some kind.
30. 31. 36. 37.
Well, he's getting on this blue ball very precisely, and of course it can be a little difficult. You finish straight or wrong side. Negotiate a path right round through the bulk colours, but when you get on the blue perfectly every time, it's not a problem.
42. 43.
Good shot as well. Played it safe there. He knew that there were plenty of options down the table. This is a really superb break. I know that it won't hit the numbers of previous
47.
breaks in this match because he's taken some low value colours, but he's not taken them well. An
48.
absolute delight to watch him. He's some player, he really is.
$53. 54.
Once again, absolutely perfectly in behind the blue. Here's another red. I wonder if those two reds might have been a plant. We've spotted them
59.
earlier in the frame. Can he rely on it though? I don't think he can.
60.
So looking at the cue ball there with a bit of suspicion, but the snooker needed. Obviously wants to ensure the frame is his.
Yeah, I mean, the blue's a bit close to in off into the right corner pocket if he just rolls it. They don't need that to happen. That's why he played it at the pace he did, because it was on its way to the right corner. The break might have come to an end.
65.
But I can honestly say I think that was a genius break of 65 for me. The pink was never really involved. The black was never in play. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it's not always about the number, is it? It's about how it's made and looking likely to put him 9-6 in front. And if it is 9-6, then it'll be 3 clear for the first time. Well, it's the boots on the other foot, of course, in the last frame. Well, 2 frames ago, wasn't it? Zhao needed 2 snookers. Now it's Zhang Anda who needs 2. Well, needs to be on the pink, really.
1.
Yeah, he was just giving points away, isn't he? It was a terrific shot, wasn't it? He's not seen a ball for a while.
Well, blue, he'd be 59 behind with 51 on. You say 51 on, that's with blacks, of course, which is covered. the blues in.
No, but the point you make is absolutely right. I mean, the more
6.
low-value colours he takes with the remaining reds, of course, the more snookers he needs. It's as simple as that.
Seven. $13. $14.
Well, the plan would be to pot this and finish below the black spot and lay a snooker there behind the black and take the red down the table. It's not out of the question. But a lot depends how well he plays the next shot, I feel. Well, he's unlucky. It was a difficult shot. It's a great effort, this, to make anything of a bad situation in the frame. Let's be honest. Done extremely well to get to this point.
Stand up. 20.
Well, he'd done well until that point. Because that was nowhere near what was required at that point in the match, in the frame. Could be in a snooker of his own here.
Yes, it's looking very likely that Zhang Anda's going to have to win the last 4 frames if he's going to win this tournament. And that's a tall order, considering how well Zhao Xintong has played. His level has not dropped all day. It's been his A game really right from the start.
A little bit dangerous, that shot, because he's setting himself up to be in a snooker the next time he comes to the table. Cue ball down to the bulk end. Doesn't get much wrong, does he, Zhao Xintong? But I do think that last shot was not so great, because he was always going to end up snookered in the end. I mean, he's got to make up a lot of points, 10 points. He's playing a swerve here. Goodness, not much room. What a shot that was. I mean, this is pretty precise stuff, isn't it? He took it as if it was nonchalant and easy.
Well, has he left the pot on? If he has, then it looks like frame over for sure. Yeah, no, not a good shot that from Zhang.
One.
So it's going to be 9-6 for sure. It's going to take something special to stop Zhao Xintong now. The way he's playing You fancy he might just need one chance to get it won.
Zhao Xintong 1. And frame.
Zhao Xintong 3 frames clear now. Much more snooker will be played because Zhao Xintong needs one more frame to become World Grand Prix champion. Zhang Anda, we know, is a stubborn character. He's played terrifically well himself. He hasn't taken much to lose frames, but can he find a way back in and at least put some pressure on?
The way that he missed went to some form of safety anyway, but is there anything to right middle? Once again, there was a gap, but it doesn't mean that the pot to middle was any easier. It's because he could get through to it.
Seven. Eight.
Well, we'll see how far he gets, but from what we've seen today, this could well be the last visit of this final. It's a Chinese New Year in a few days' time. The year of the horse. And Zhao Xintong can well and truly see the winning line here, the finishing post in this World Grand Prix. He's played brilliantly. But not just in the final, all week. I think we've seen all sides of his game. He's scored really heavily. But his tactical game as well, and against some of the great tacticians, has held up very strongly.
Well, there's the zip on the cue ball that he gets, but this time it's not
31.
Made it all that clear as to which red he's on. He may have a red, but he got so much work on that ball for so little effort. Going to cut back thin one. Beautiful, really delightful. Well, this time he might just be a little fortunate, actually. He hasn't needed a lot of luck today, but he might have got a bit there. They're very close together, and Zhang Weili, the referee, will look to make sure there's no push shot played.
38.
I think he's got a chance, you know. Genuinely think that he's got a chance to take snooker to the next level.
45.
Some of the shots he's playing in amongst them on this big stage. against an opponent
46.
close to the top of his game. He's playing majestic snooker for me. He's got better as the week's gone on. It's a joy to watch him.
Yeah, these talents, they don't
53.
emerge every week, but they do emerge in different sports. You look at Carlos Alcaraz come along in tennis. Luke Littler, of course, in
54.
darts. You know, you think the old era can never be overturned, but it is. And Zhao Xintong, certainly a flag bearer of a new era in snooker. He's already world champion,
61.
and he's a few balls away from winning this title as well. And he has played superbly.
62.
2 more pots needed. And a chance to finish in style with his 5th century of the day. Zhang Anda has not done a lot wrong, has he? He's played to a very high level himself. But he's playing someone very special here.
Yeah, and the grace in which he goes about what he's doing, I think, is the point, isn't it? We know that a lot of players can make centuries, a lot of players can play well, but
70.
there's a real beauty in the way he does it.
Well, they're cheering because that is effectively championship ball. Just needed one chance again. And the late, great John Virgo was right. There's always a gap.
77.
He could see a red through the gap. He potted it, and he hasn't looked back.
It would be nice if he could keep this break going, I think, just for a little bit longer. He's finished a little awkwardly on this red.
$78. $85. 86.
Stephen Hendry's record of 7 centuries in a final remains, but 5
93.
on the cards. Barry Hawkins did that in the World Grand Prix not so long ago.
94.
This has been just irresistible, though. What a finish. What a player.
101.
I've said this before, but in cricket you've got the little master, Sachin Tendulkar. I think he's snooker's version of the little master. He's a magnificent player. He doesn't look under pressure, even when he's been put
109.
under some by any opponent this week.
110.
Come back a long way from when 4-1 down to an informed Mark Selby in the best of 9.
$117.
Yeah, let's not forget he made the high break. A 145, which followed a 130 in the previous frame. He's had 111, 134. And looks likely to finish off here with a 144. Just dazzling stuff.
122.
Yes, and he's shown sort of glimpses of what he's capable of this season, but I think he's reached peak here in this final.
26.
This is really as good as it gets for now.
Yes, a game that is brutally hard, being made to look ridiculously easy. So the break ends at 1-3-1.